Okay, but I think many people would just say, well, this is just, as you say, a ridiculous superstition that can be accounted for by natural factors, right? The idea that we're being oppressed by some invisible demon in red pajamas and horns or something is absurd, and we've grown beyond that, and we should grow up. We can address that, but I think on the other end, you might have people who are looking for kind of Satan under every rock as the explanation for everything. So I guess I'd ask you, like, out of all those phone calls you receive every year, I think you said 2,000 or thereabouts, what would you say, this would be hard to guess, but I'm asking you to take a stab at it, would be the percentage of these people who are contacting you who just do have mental health issues?
I would say probably about half.
Okay. Wow, so that's significant. That's surprising to me. So half of them, you think there is actual demonic activity taking place? Absolutely,
because just in initial conversation with them. Now, unfortunately, I'm not able to help everybody that reaches out to me just because of, distance and geographics, which is why I try to connect people with someone in their area. Sometimes that can be difficult because many priests today, somebody knocks at your door and says they're dealing with the demonic. It's like, close the door in their face, hang up the phone, maybe they'll just go away. But that will send people to the wrong sources, I believe, because if people really believe they're dealing with the demonic and they're seeking for help, the church does need to respond. But even out of a sense of charity, the church also has to be able to tell people that what you're dealing with is not demonic, it's a mental health issue, and then to direct people towards, the people that can give them the true help that they need. I've always believed that whether it's the priest, it's the psychiatrist, or the medical doctor, all three of us should be working together to bring relief into the life of somebody who is suffering, whether that be due to spiritual causes, physical causes, or mental causes. But it is difficult, I would say, within the mental health field to find professionals who will at least be open to the possibility that what the person is suffering is something of a spiritual nature.
I like how you put that. It's a matter of charity. Like, it would be an unkind thing to pretend that you were under some sort of demonic influence if really what you were dealing with was some mental illness. We'd be actually holding you back from receiving the help that you needed by pretending or being wrong about,
And that's why I would say that the church will be doing greater harm if it labels someone as being possessed, and that label prevents the person from getting the true help that they need. Okay. Now, I will say that when I've told people that what they're dealing with is not the demonic, unfortunately, many people that contact me have already self-diagnosed. They already believe they're possessed, and so they're looking for an exorcism. But I'm trained to be a skeptic. The church says that I need to reach moral certitude, meaning beyond any doubt that the person in front of me is truly dealing with the demonic, which is why then I would rely on experts in the mental health field, family doctors, to have them weigh in on what they believe is happening.
So how can you be confident without a shadow of a doubt that this is the demonic? Like, what's the sort of process when somebody comes to you and says they think they're being experiencing the demonic? How do you play skeptic, you play devil's advocate, as it were? How is it that you do that? What does that look like?
So we have a protocol that we use in the United States. So number one, we would ask a person to have some type of psychiatric evaluation. And that doesn't mean that the church doesn't believe them. Oftentimes when somebody, you tell somebody you need a psychiatric evaluation, they're like, you don't believe me.
Yeah.
But if you're going to go through an exorcism, you also need to be mentally strong. And if somebody's kind of on the edge, that edge needs to be taken off, and the mental health industry can help do that.
But wouldn't, I imagine you alluded to most psychologists or many psychologists would dismiss the idea that this could be demonic activity. So wouldn't it just naturally appear to them to be something psychological?
Well, and it's important to note that the church is not asking the psychiatrist, do you think this person is possessed?
Yes.
The church herself will make that determination, but the church is asking these experts to weigh in and to say, is there anything about this person that is outside of your understanding?
I see.
So
what's the sort of response you've received from a psychiatrist when they have come to you and said, I don't understand what's going on here? What's been an example of that?
And that's where, again, I would say it's very hard to find those folks.
Okay.
Because many of them would just simply discount the possibility of what the person is dealing with is demonic. But I have found some Catholic counselors and psychiatrists.
Okay, but so you're sending somebody who thinks they're possessed or something like that to a psychiatrist. if the person is exhibiting kind of unhealthy behavior that you would deem, influenced by the demons, presumably she's not going to say, or he's going to say, well, no, this person's fine. They're going to see this negative behavior and attribute it to some psychological cause, correct?
Well, they could, but if it means, if you're going to be diagnosed with Tourette syndrome, for example, but they'll say, well, the person might have this labeling, if you will, of having Tourette's, but what they exhibit is outside of the scope that would lead to that diagnosis.
I see.
Because oftentimes, the same symptoms that we see in people that have mental illness could be the same ones that we see in those who are possessed. So again, the church is looking for these experts to say, well, it may be similar, but we're not drawing the right conclusion based on, all the individual circumstances that are involved in this person's case. And then I would require them to have some type of physical examination by their family doctor. And then I would meet with the person, or perhaps somebody from my team, or even other priests in the Archdiocese of Indianapolis. There's a questionnaire. The Vatican has put together an intake questionnaire trying to determine if this is demonic, what was the entry point. And it even begins by saying, some questions, have you ever been diagnosed with a mental illness? Have you been prescribed medication? Are you still taking it? If not, did you stop taking it at the direction of your doctor? Did you do it on your own? What type of music do you listen to? Ever been involved in the occult, satanic practices or rituals, black masses? The list goes on and on. But I would be trying to determine what the entry point would be. Step 4 of the protocol would be to look for the 4 signs of demonic possession that are mentioned in the rite itself. Which are the ability to speak and understand languages otherwise unknown to the individual. Superhuman strength, so the person exhibits strength beyond their normal capacity. 3 would be elevated perception. The person has knowledge about things that they should not otherwise know. And then 4, an aversion to anything of a sacred nature, such as being blessed with holy water, being shown a crucifix or a Bible. Now, some of the tricks up the sleeve, you could say, if I'm trying to determine, is this truly demonic, or is this person, suffering a mental illness, or are they just trying to put on a ruse? So if I meet with somebody and I bless them with water, I know if it's blessed.
Oh, really?
The demon will know if it's blessed, but this individual won't know that. Because if it's truly blessed and it's become holy, there'll be a negative reaction from the demon. But if I bless somebody with tap water and they scream, that might be an indication that...
That's interesting. Yeah, because you send someone to a psychologist, I'm still trying to figure this out, they don't believe in the demonic necessarily. They can't fully account for what this person's dealing with, but that in and of itself isn't proof that it's demonic. It just might be proof that we don't have a fuller enough understanding of psychology. So it's not as if you can go on, as you say, you're not looking to her to say this person's possessed or not, but you almost have to kind of assess her or the psychologist's account of what's going on. And then it sounds like you have your own ways of determining whether or not this person is being influenced by the demonic. So holy water is one of them, you said. If you sprinkle them with tap water and they react, that might be a sign. Are there other things that you do to determine whether or not?
I might pray with somebody. If I lay my hand on their head and offer up a prayer, I might have a relic in my hand. And so, again, anything that's of a sacred nature is going to create a negative reaction and cause some type of demonic manifestation if a demon is truly present. The former exorcist in Indianapolis, Monsignor Ryan, right across the street from St. Anthony Parish was a former mental hospital in Indianapolis. And he used to share with me that he would go and visit some of the residents to take communion. And he'd walk in the front door, and some of the residents would begin to curse at him and spit and mumble at him under their breath. And then when he would make his rounds, and then when he was leaving, these same people would be, "Good to see you, Father. Thanks for stopping in." They were completely different. And he believed that some of the people there were dealing with the demonic, and it was the presence of the Eucharist that he had with him. And then when he was leaving, he didn't have the Eucharist anymore because he had distributed. So sometimes I meet with people. I may have the Holy Eucharist on my person, in a pyx in my pocket, and then to see if it creates some type of a negative reaction from the person. Again, things that I'm aware of, the individual is not, But again, if it's something demonic, they're going to know if they're in the presence of something that's holy and sacred.
Thank you for watching this clip. You can click here to watch the full episode. And I want to say a big thanks to our sponsors and to our amazing patrons for making all of this possible. Please do us a favor before you go. Click that subscribe button and then the bell. And that way YouTube will be forced to let you know every time we put out a new episode.